When it comes to oddities on the internet, we've seen a lot of things that can easily be explained, but sometimes we find things that are not so easy to take apart. This is where I keep the mysteries that refuse to be solved. Welcome to the Night Mind Case Files. I've run into a lot of strange things on the internet. A lot of them are new, a good amount of them are recent, and some of them are old. Most of the older bits are only a few years stale, not much more than 5 or 6. But this one? This is the oldest, oddest thing I've encountered yet. 2 parts creepypasta, 1 part alternate reality game, 1 part long-form storytelling, and altogether a twisted, logic-defying mess that remains to this day without a legitimate owner or true explanation. The Wyoming Incident is much more deserving as a piece from my cabinet of curiosities than I expected going into it, and so far, this is the ultimate case of pulling one end of a wire to find a horrific, tangled mess on the other side. Just to give a frame of reference for how old this story is beyond just naming the year it began, a quick history lesson for you. YouTube was created in February of 2005 and purchased by Google in October of 2006. At the time of the purchase, Google already had their own video upload service, which was of course named Google Video. Our very first pulse of activity for the experience known as the Wyoming Incident occurred on August 9th, 2006 on Google Video, nearly 10 years ago. The video description read as follows. The Wyoming Incident, or the Wyoming hijacking, is a lesser-known case of television broadcast hijacking and hacking. A hacker managed to interrupt broadcasts from a local programming channel believed to serve several smaller communities in the county of Niobrara and aired his or her own video. The video contained numerous clips of disembodied human heads showing various emotions and poses. The camera position changed often, usually every 10 to 15 seconds, and the video was often interrupted by a special presentation announcement. This clip is taken from one of these intervals. The video is mostly locally well known and would probably not even be that popular if it were not for the effects it had on the few residents who watched it for an extended period of time. Complaints included vomiting, hallucinations, headaches, and more. While some believed it was paranormal, specialists have determined that the cause of these afflictions were frequencies played regularly throughout the broadcast. In this clip, the frequency being played is somewhere between 17 and 19 Hz. This range of frequency, when played for long periods of time, causes the eyes to subtly vibrate, sometimes inducing visual hallucinations. This video is significant in that it is one of the most recent television hijackings. Such actions were rare even in the 80s. Search for the Chicago Max Headroom incident, and are even more rare today. The hacker has not yet been caught, and all attempts to trace the video have proven futile. Because the internet's always had a good habit of saving truly bizarre media, the Wyoming Incident video was re-uploaded several times, though the original upload didn't last long after Google's merge with YouTube. Don't worry about that special frequency mentioned. No one has reported experiencing actual effects from watching the video, and just as a precaution, I've tampered with the audio a bit. Here is the broadcast. Not exactly terrifying, but still unsettling, especially during the advent of major video sharing online. Still, this video didn't exactly make the kind of rounds that future visual creepypasta entries did. There wasn't any real talk about the Wyoming Incident until January of 2007 on the Unfiction forum, when a user supplied the link and asked if anyone knew exactly what this was. Responding users couldn't provide a proper answer, with several citing the Max Headroom incident and the Ring as what the video reminded them of. It wasn't long until a new lead dropped on February 6th. A user named Lyra in the Dark, who had joined on February 4th, posted a link to a second video saying, "I found this on YouTube this morning." That video had been uploaded on February 5th. So, well over a week after the initial thread started, we have a user who signed up on February 4th, a second video uploaded on February 5th, and a post from that brand new user on the morning of February 6th saying that they just happened to find this new video. Right, I'll buy that coincidence. It's also fun to take a look at the title and video description. Weird video I found by a user named Give Me a Number. The description reads, "Somebody left this video file on a DVD they left on my doorstep. It might just be a prank, but it's pretty creepy, so I guess I'll just upload it here. If any of y'all recognize who made this video, just tell me. Thanks to Chad for helping with tags." Watching this one isn't necessary. It's the same video as the last with a few different head images and a new set of phrases. Why do you hate? You are ill. We just want to fix you. Users on the Unfiction forums responded with immediate recognition for the username behind the new video. It's a gimmick from a character called the Boogeyman in Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. More specifically, part 5 of the Doll's House at the Serial Killer Convention. The Boogeyman's gimmick is give me a number, to which he could then proceed to tell you what was special about that numbered person he killed. A few days later, another convenient drop-off occurs on the forum, courtesy of a brand new user named You Can Watch Now, who signed up the very day they made the post and only ever made that one post. This edition was uploaded to Google Video and titled Danny's Collection 3. The description read as follows. My brother had quite an interesting collection of underground bizarre videos. This video, which he only called 3, was his favorite in his entire collection despite running only about a minute. He never wanted it uploaded to the internet because he was sort of selfish when it came to his rarer videos. He liked the idea that he was one of the few people who had seen this. I found it a year after his death. I had pretty much forgotten about it, in a box filled with videos of his I guess he just recently burnt to DVD. I have no idea who made the video and only a vague idea as to where it came from. My brother came back with it one summer after visiting some friends up around Yellowknife. The video presented is the same as the previous two, but again has changes made to statements between shots of faces. What hides in your mind? We have already seen it. A day later, a guest user going by the name Viral Detector 77 mentions that someone wrote an odd comment on the video. This person, I like to read, posted a link to a year-old blog written by a man who apparently was the owner of the original video titled The Wyoming Incident. In the blog, this man, going by the moniker Gregory Miller, mentioned Daniel Cable as the potential new owner of a different video. Users visiting the blog found it to be the personal diary of an obsessive man driven insane by ownership of the fourth video. At the height of his madness, he mentioned human lampreys which feed off of our essences, a figure named Vedius Paulus, and 2 men, one named Donald Wilson and another named Robert Roydenell, associated with Daniel Cable. Vedius Paulus was apparently a friend of the ancient Roman Emperor Augustus, who owned many slaves and had a pool of carnivorous fish known as lampreys on his villa property. Whenever a slave angered him, Vedius would have the slave thrown into the pool where the lampreys would eat them alive. Users who investigated the Donald Wilson lead came up with an obituary from Niobrara County, Wyoming, the very same area reportedly affected by the initial Wyoming Incident broadcast. He had died on January 1, 2006, 7 months before a recording of the broadcast was first uploaded to Google Video. Donald Wilson had been living in the town of Casper, Wyoming at the time of his death, where he and his family had been since 1979. A search for Robert Roydenell, the vital name on the blog, brought up a man by the exact name living in Casper, Wyoming, and a phone number. Despite their collective fear, a user on the forum named Esteed called the number and recorded what he heard. Esteed said it best when he described his experience after the call. It was after that when I realized I had just listened to a recording of someone flatlining. Viral Detector 77 comes back just over an hour later informing the thread about a new blog post which had a link to an old message board. The Happy Cube. Nothing had been posted since 2004, but recent activity had shown a new user had joined that very day. I like to fix. What is the Happy Cube, and what are the members talking about in regards to their favorite activity, cubing? The clues are everywhere, beginning with the first post by administrator Jack Q. Pembry. On August 28, 2004, Jack posted a new topic, the grand reopening of the Happy Cube. He welcomes everyone back by issuing a new set of rules as a result of what happened in April. Please don't advertise for your videos. Jesus, it's one thing to partake in something, a whole different thing to enjoy seeing someone else do it. Please, please don't post about how much you think ICP, Slipknot, or Marilyn Manson are the composers of your work. I'm going to start filtering the naughty words that you've never been supposed to say but have always posted anyway. Words will be filtered into their safe versions, but a tag will surround it saying it had to be filtered. Do not leave your email in your profile. This is very important after what happened in April. And finally, no more pictures. Jack then begins to describe what happened in April to cause the new set of rules. To make a long story not so long, Johnny Diver started having second thoughts about CubeCon 2004 and decided to bail out, which was okay with just about everyone except Oldboy, Spaceman Jeff, and Oxeneyes03, who have had a weird one-sided rivalry with Johnny for some time. A huge thread, Johnny Diver, Man or Meat, was started by Oldboy, which not only flamed Johnny for not attending CubeCon, but threatened him and his family. Spaceman and Oxeneyes soon joined Oldboy's antics, posting pictures of what they were planning to do to him. Johnny Diver was not happy. What does he do? Go to the fucking police. A huge investigation is launched and even more incriminating evidence is found against the three flamers. Information about a relationship between Spaceman Jeff and WTW is found, and WTW, hell, he just disappeared. The police think the Happy Cube is a place where this is rather commonplace and we are shut down for a while. Now we're using a different message board system and a different, free, website server. A better idea of what cubing is begins to emerge in another thread, tools of choice. I like to use hammers or screwdrivers whenever possible. Everyone says that the more, advanced tools have a certain feel of omnipotence to them. I think they're just pussy weapons, but that may just be me. What's your tool of choice? I like to use different tools each time, which is a lot safer than using the same one or a pattern. I've dabbled in using tools like you use, but they are a bit too messy and can put you in pretty big danger. Sometimes the advanced tools are necessary. Tools are for the athletically fit and good with their hands only. I've always been fond of the chainsaw, though it's only safe if you and your friend are away from other people. Putting aconite in salads is a clever way to surprise a friend coming over for dinner. Aconite happens to be a type of poison with a well-documented lethal dose for human beings. Taking this information into account and the discussion about what tools are best, you may well have figured out what the Happy Cube's for. If not, here's the definition from Urban Dictionary posted in 2005. A sporting activity revolving very much around the short story, The Most Dangerous Game. Often played with a very small group of people, if not alone, who meet on the internet in a very anonymous fashion in which they tell stories of past cubing adventures and plan in a very vague manner so as not to draw attention to the actual actions of cubing for future cubing events. Cubing is considered in all places that murder is. The Happy Cube is a forum for serial killers to discuss gatherings where they can hunt victims in a pack, an activity they refer to as cubing. And Jack might be upset about the previous CubeCon failure, but he's not letting it take away their fun. CubeCon 05 will be either taking place in Indiana or Tennessee. In Indiana, we have the city of Indianapolis, and Tennessee has Nashville, Knoxville, and Memphis. We can't go to all three, remember this. And yet, things don't go too well for the second Happy Cube site. On September 5th, 2004, Jack Q. Pembry shut down the board, telling everyone there wouldn't be any posting until Monday, September 6th. Aside from I Like to Fix joining the boards, that was the last bit of activity on the forum. Things picked up just after discovery of the Happy Cube. Viral Detector posted a link to a new blog entry that apparently had Gregory Miller telling his new audience, which he was very much aware of, that he would choose a volunteer to receive his Wyoming Incident video. A comment is made about this person becoming a vessel. The choice is made a day later, with our early adventurer, Esteed, receiving the prize. It came along with a very special message from G. Miller providing background information users had been digging for. Danny, the uploader of the third video, had bought it with the expectation from the seller that it would be uploaded to the internet. Danny refused to do so and was driven insane before killing himself, leaving only his brother to own the video, which he then put online. Jack Pembry was a lifelong psychopath who hadn't done anything about his homicidal urges until buying his copy of the video. Driven mad by his ownership, he gave it to Donald Wilson, but that didn't help. He's gone now. He got to be it for a while, and that while's up. Gregory Miller was described as the perfect target, vulnerable, arrogant, with an interest in the strange he could never even hope to overcome. He kept the video to himself for too long, and it destroyed his mind like the others. He too gave his copy to Donald Wilson, but was already ruined. Gregory Miller now lives as a vegetable, cared for by his mother. Which leads us to the next revelation. The blogger going by the name G. Miller that had been interacting with users was not, in fact, Gregory Miller. After Gregory's mental collapse, the being who sold the original videos took over and moved everything to Blogger for a bigger audience. Esthete is instructed to upload the video and watch it until his heart stops beating. He's also given the task of telling everyone that the next would be coming out soon. So far, the videos had been sold, given, found, and won. Next time, the video would be shared. G. Miller's blog changed immediately after this. All of the relevant posts detailing his descent into madness and the videos were deleted, replaced with meaningless copies of bits and pieces of random blogs. Only one last round of communication occurs on the blog with members of the Unfiction forum, with the user behind G. Miller's account inviting them to ask 3 questions, with an additional 4th answer that he gets to choose. The first question shoots right to the heart of the matter. Where do the videos come from? The reply was quick, explaining that what we think of as a series of videos has always existed in some form. They've been carving in stone, scrolls, pamphlets, and books. A while back, the user behind G. Miller was given the task of updating them to a more modern form of media. He contacted a young man in Canada he convinced to make the videos. They spoke for 23 hours, G. Miller describing what needed to be done and the accomplice taking notes. After discovering G. Miller's videos weren't a part of some art project or internet game, the young man became irate and refused to work on any more. In G. Miller's words, "He's gone now. I sold the first 3 videos myself. You already have heard of 3 people who bought them, though there are many connections you may not have made." In being asked what exactly these videos are for, G. Miller replied, "What I am updating serves various purposes. For one, it inspires many of those who view it in small, subtle ways and those who own it in very strong ways. Modifying people in such a manner helps to guide society down the path that my people believe is the best. They also serve as a very important part of our belief system. They help to strengthen us and keep us healthy. They are the most sacred objects in the world. They are the winning card in the game we play with humanity." For the final question they were allowed to ask, the board inquired about what connections in the story they hadn't put together yet. G. Miller isn't ready to answer that fully, but does come forward with some much-needed information. First of all, the man who took the moniker Jack Q. Pembry bought the second video. I wouldn't try getting in touch with him. He's gone. The Robert mentioned on Gregory Miller's blog is not Donald Wilson's stepson, he is Danny's brother. So, here are the 3 people who bought the videos from me personally. Jack Q. Pembry, using an alias, Daniel C., and Gregory Miller. You have yet to discuss how the second video got from Pembry to Donald Wilson to Jamie, the uploader of the second video who put it on YouTube titled, "Weird Video I Found." Donald Wilson wasn't himself when he began his little collection, as his obituary seems to hint. Of course, researching old Donald will just lead to a dead end, literally, for you, which causes me to wonder why no one has investigated the others yet. I'd be following Jamie's YouTube profile for the next few days. The first chance you get to contact him, do it. I never figured him into my equation, so his presence is, to put it lightly, slightly aggravating to me, and even I don't fully understand how the video got from Wilson to him, though I have some ideas. There may be a group of interlopers trying to get my videos to people I would generally consider unworthy. If you want my help, I suggest you stop them. Follow my advice about Jamie, and eventually you'll know what to do. In the end, you're going to end up helping me take care of Jamie no matter what it is you truly want to do. Don't make it difficult for yourself by trying to misbehave. The interlopers may be my sisters. I would elaborate about them further, but that wasn't your question. A hint. Topic: the recurring theme of duality in mythology. Soon, this blog will be nothing but variant of the post that preceded this. Good luck. In a following post, avid user Slyfingers brings up a shocking discovery while reviewing video 3. It had been uploaded on March 6, 2006, making it, technically, the first video online, predating even the Wyoming Incident. From here, the game takes a long, twisting curve that led to so many turns it required hours of reading and documenting to keep track. Almost all activity moved over to the Happy Cube forum where a new board opened. Hack Job Johnny, named after the title used for the 5th video, which was uploaded to a file-sharing platform called Ares by the newest user, I Like to Fix. Again, nothing significant about the new video except for its change of phrases. You cannot hide forever. We stand at the door. Through the next topic, duality, players discovered that I Like to Fix was somehow involved with the 9 Dark Muses, the evil brothers of the mythical 9 Good Muses of humanity in Greek mythology. I Like to Fix then uploaded a few short stories that board users were required to read, which all involved people being haunted by other humans with pitch-black eyes and an otherworldly air. The purpose for this was soon discovered as a grand harvest of negative emotions from the humans reading the stories. I Like to Fix revealed himself to be a child of the muse of insanity, paranoia, and irrational fear, the muse of stories detailing forbidden knowledge, the unknown, and the mentally unstable, who stalked H.P. Lovecraft and whispered to Aleister Crowley. Paranoia's children wear his eyes so that they may see the world as he does, in dark and obscure shades. They are the paranormal phenomenon known as the black-eyed children who follow the living and wear the skin of the dead. Their only wish is to terrify, and their only joy comes from feeding. An absolutely relentless marathon of lore and role-playing comes on the heels of this revelation. The Shaded Priest, known as I Like to Fix, continues introducing stories of paranoia and fear to the readers, tells them a legion of black-eyed children will be joining the boards and stalking players of the game in real life, and asks players to express their feelings about the experience they're undergoing. I Like to Fix is replaced by another priest, I Love to Fix, after one of the black-eyed children under his care ends up devouring a player of the game. I Love to Fix continues the work of Father Paranoia in the quest to feed on human emotions and push back against the good muses, whose campaign to bring humanity to its peak of perfection will then, in the words of the Dark Muses, bring about its immediately following downfall, as they firmly believe that what goes up must always come down. Players are asked deeply personal questions in order to probe their personalities and psyches, while I Love to Fix and his cohorts attempt to track down Jamie, the uploader of the second video to YouTube, who was never supposed to be involved. Jamie is eventually found, and a poll is given on whether or not the board wants to hear an audio recording of his final moments. The answer is an overwhelming yes, prompting the release of the track, which sounds remarkably like poor acting and is entirely unconvincing to the board. The narrative is revealed that Jamie's death was faked for the sake of appearances, but it doesn't matter. His mind is already too far gone after previous ownership of a Wyoming Incident video. Lore and role-playing continue as I Love to Fix describes issues between the Muse of Paranoia and his brothers, who are now aware of his personal campaign. Someone is offered the chance to receive hints about finding Video 6 by answering a payphone, and a user named Detector7 is chosen. He somehow fails to get a proper recording, but does take notes of the event, leading to the discovery of Video 6 on Google Video. This is followed up by I Love to Fix introducing a need for the community to engage in a mass ritual to summon an aspect of the Muse of Paranoia. This involves being alone with eyes closed, playing music that disturbs you, and doing some things that we're not going to talk about because what was suggested as part of this ritual is legitimately dangerous on many levels, and I'm not joking about that. Even the followers of the game who had been on board up to this point reacted with serious opposition, and even though I Love to Fix added a note of warning to those who weren't mentally prepared to go through with it, the mass summoning thread was opened on schedule and at appointed time for everyone to know about so they could engage in it together. This is approaching another topic entirely, but Ed and Lorraine Warren, career-long demonologists who have literal hundreds of cases on file where innocent games turned into living nightmares, would have a whole lot to say about why this is something that should not have happened and should never be done. Beyond the paranormal aspects of it and those potential consequences, the steps outlined in the ritual are enough to cause major panic and anxiety attacks in people, and generally bring someone to a place that they should not go with full intent and mental focus. Fiction is fun. Doing this and expecting people to go along with it is not. I'll also skip ahead in the timeline and mention that this not only happened once, but twice in the course of the story. Regardless of the sudden rift in player opinions of the game, the ritual did go forward, and the apparent spirit of Hackjob Johnny was introduced into the thread to work with I Love to Fix. It was shortly after this that everything came completely off the rails. On the 1st of March, several new threads were opened under I Love to Fix, all expressing the same sentiment. This entire game, from beginning to end, had been one giant prank in the making by the members of the Something Awful forums. In particular, a member named Senor Bambos was behind it, running the show and making things up on the fly, grabbing whatever sources he could to throw in and make some kind of lore out of. He had made the videos, he had used Unfiction as an incubator, Viral Detector, who helped push new discoveries and leads forward, had been a plant working for Senor Bambos, and another Something Awful member, OC James, had helped craft the story and falsify information. After seeing interest in the game wane and sharp criticism begin to come in from Unfiction, Senor Bambos gave Viral Detector the keys to the I Love to Fix account and told him to drop the bomb. Reading copies of the original confession on the Happy Cube board by Senor Bambos during the shakeup, it also becomes apparent that there was a failed item retrieval mission someone behind the curtains managed to screw up, resulting in a backpedaling by I Love to Fix in character about the situation. Pressure from other members of Something Awful didn't help their decision. Some members of that forum had caught wind of the project and figured out who was behind it, forcing Senior Bambos and the others to cave. The players on the Unfiction forums were, understandably, upset about this and more than a little bit perplexed. Why go through all of that trouble, all of that writing and upkeep and story development just for a prank? It turned out that it may not have been that simple. A day after the revelation threads, someone else with moderator powers over the forum appeared, going by the name of Harry Spy. It isn't actually known what the thread they first posted was, though it was very official sounding and spread the message that this board was coming down. Someone from Unfiction sent Harry Spy a message to see if they were here to help. The reply was a bit startling. I hate to tell you this, but I do not think that this was ever a game to begin with. We have reason to believe this was an extremely unethical sociological psychological experiment performed by an amateur group possibly located somewhere in the United Kingdom. The boards will not be reopened, all of the original staff accounts have been indefinitely suspended, and I suggest that you ignore any videos posted from this point on. The Unfiction user asked if the investigation was real or a continuation of the game, if it was hijacked by something awful, and what was actually going on. Another response came through. I regret to inform you that the investigation is indeed real. The federal government has also launched a small investigation, though they are mostly examining if any law has actually been broken. If not, I imagine they will quietly dismiss their investigation. I was hired by a mother of one of the players. She found the whole thing suspicious, and her son had been acting erratic throughout the course of the game. The ritual seems to have pushed him over the edge. We have spoken with the Something Awful members who we believe to be behind the hijacking. No charges will be pressed against them as the administrators of the board have intentionally tried to remain anonymous, and Pro Boards does not want this sort of publicity. We do not believe them to have been very involved with anything that happened prior to the night of the hacking. We believe the videos to have been produced and distributed by an amateur psychology group situated somewhere in the United Kingdom. We have yet to confirm this, however. The forums will not be reopened, the staff accounts have been suspended indefinitely, and I suggest you do not watch any more of the videos if they are released. Harry Spy also replied to a message inquiring about a mentioned suicide in the wake of the ritual. The information stated that it was a player of the game that had been following along for quite some time, and an unfinished document that had been found on his computer detailed children with black eyes in the doorway of someone's bedroom. He allegedly took his own life after engaging in the first ritual. Harry Spy disappeared shortly after this, leaving in his wake only one new bit of activity, a topic titled We Win by I Love to Fix. Children are gone. Representative is gone. Observer is gone. Never should have trusted the brothers most vile. The book shall be ours too. This ends here. Just over 2 weeks later, the game started again with I Love to Fix entering a new thread, clarification and revelation. He tells a much different version of the story than Senior Bambos did. Apparently, using a hint dropped in a thread, Senior Bambos of Something Awful was able to brute force the password and log in as an admin. From there, he could change the information for pretty much everyone, and since I Love to Fix was out at the time, he got away with it. Senior Bambos gave credentials for one of the accounts to Viral Detector, and together they stormed the board and dropped all of the threads proclaiming it was one giant joke. Later, Senior Bambos comes in again as Harry Spy to pull off one last laugh with a detective angle. I Love to Fix writes a whole series of bullet points on why Senior Bambos was completely false in his claims to ownership of the project. On both Happy Cube and Something Awful, he would dodge questions, ignore arguments, and provide weak answers. The evidence was insurmountable. From here, I Love to Fix announces that the person typing this post is not the same one we've been dealing with. He is, in fact, now the last living shaded priest from a temple of Father Paranoia. During the Something Awful takeover, Paranoia's brothers sent black-eyed children that had turned traitor to kill everyone in the temple. The original I Love to Fix was killed, Hackjob Johnny was killed, everyone was dead except for this one priest who had dodged a bullet by taking care of some business away from the site of the disaster. From this point on, the story continued, and it seems the intensity was just ramped up. The lore became heavier, there was more text material than ever, there was no hunt for any videos, new characters and events were introduced, and it was all done through the board. 33 topics, some of them several pages in length, were introduced from the date of March 16th to April 29th. A new blog was introduced as well for readers to follow the story of a new character, because at this point they were much more readers than actual game players. I couldn't tell you what happens in the storyline for the sheer depth of written material and expansive lore there is involved with the revival effort. It would have taken me another week to make a full video just on that lore alone. What I can tell you, however, is something nobody saw coming in the wake of all of this. In the very last topic from 2007, He Wants Something, the figurehead of the board stopped responding to messages, posts, and all activity. Things began to slow to a sudden crawl and then stop moving altogether. On June 16th, Senor Bambos comes back under his own username and delivers a confession. Many of you may remember me as the guy who claimed to have made the video on something awful. I was lying, though I was the one who first posted links to it and uploaded it online. That was pretty much my entire purpose: distribution. I had posted on another forum that I wished I could become involved in some sort of viral marketing, ARG, or hoax. A new member PM'd me asking me if I would like to take some videos he made and upload them around the web and link to them. I asked him why he didn't do it himself, and he told me that he wouldn't know where to start. He sent the videos to me via email and explained how he made them. I think he lied because I have attempted to replicate the videos and have only produced mediocre lookalikes. The only thing that worked were the audio tips he gave. The videos stopped appearing simply because he ceased to make them. I think only he knows how to properly produce these things. He gave me the basic video descriptions. I figured it'd be best to display them to Something Awful, the largest website I was active on at the time, and it snowballed. When this message board was opened, he gave me the position of moderator and asked if I could oversee the boards when he was unable to. A jackass friend of mine, the detector, logged into my account one night and basically did everything that almost ended the game. Embarrassed but amused by the excitement going on at Something Awful, I tried to play it off as a joke reveal. This attempt to play it off was thwarted when the real puppet master tried the detective thing and then restarted the game. The spiteful post he made about me sometime later was probably meant to discredit me for almost ruining the game, and I suppose I deserved it. I thought I could trust my friend as he had acted as a plant several times during the game. The puppet master always decided when a plant would be used, and we did not always use one. The PM told me that he just wanted to tell people something, but he knew certain parts of the story couldn't be pulled off by the average player. I don't know what the motivation behind all of this was. He's never revealed anything about himself to me, and all locations save Niobrara County were chosen by myself. Whatever he's doing is flexible. He hasn't spoken to me in some time. I feel rather guilty because a large percentage of Something Awful believes me to have been the sole creator, and I'm even given full credit in the Wikipedia article. In the end, I know jack shit about what this is. I don't understand his motivations. I can't make the videos. They creep the hell out of me personally. I know nothing about the origins of this website except that it probably served as an important prop in an earlier project he worked on. I think he may be the OC James guy who apparently has links elsewhere. I just don't know. I was just along for the ride. Users who were still active came by to ask Senor Bambos what else he knew. From the line of questioning, we learned that the first private message sent by the true puppet master didn't come until a month after Senor Bambos posted asking to be involved with something. He also tells us that they've spoken over email before, but not recently at all. This guy constantly changed his email during the course of the project. The only message he sent me of decent length, excluding all video description outlines and similar things, was the very first message he sent me. It didn't really explain much about the Wyoming Incident, but he seemed to believe that, if talked about in the right places, it would catch on like wildfire. That first message was almost like a sales pitch or a company trying to get some sort of celebrity to endorse a project, which is strange as I was a relative nobody on the internet before this all happened. He does not post on Something Awful. He found my original post on a coast-to-coast, referring to the radio program, message board. I posted once after some big mystery was revealed to be viral marketing. I was one of the few people not extremely pissed off, and I was actually quite interested in doing something similar. A couple of people chewed me out, and I pretty much left the site immediately afterwards. The fact that I went back after leaving it was pure luck. I just remembered it one day a little more than a month afterward and decided to just casually browse the latest topics. Had I not done that, I more than likely would have never spotted his little proposal. Further questioning reveals that it was the puppet master who was most active on the board. Most of the time, he was the moderator character. And like mentioned earlier, Senor Bambos truly doesn't understand his motivations. At times he seemed to treat this as some sort of social experiment. Sometimes he treated it as a story, sometimes he treated it as a game, and oftentimes he treated it as a job. It seemed almost as if it was something he absolutely had to do. As far as I know, he's made no money from this, and his anonymity deprives him of any real fame. I think these videos have a definite effect on people. Most people are at least unnerved by them, but a small number seem almost obsessed with it. Speaking for myself, I feel a lot about these videos. I feel remorse for being partially responsible for the death of this project and upset that I will more than likely never get closure. It's been months since I was involved with this, and I still find myself lurking on this website at least a few times a week. The lack of closure is what gets me the most. As for why this is all coming out so long after the game seems to have stopped, Bambo says, "I've been following this board even more intensely since the embodiment, the latest moderator character, disappeared, and I was growing tired with the unexplained absence. I figured now would be a good time to interject, offer an explanation for myself and the situation itself to an extent, and talk with people as myself without fear of getting banned right off the bat. And still, the course of the Wyoming incident doesn't stop there. In May of 2009, 2 years after the previous thread, a new board was added to the Happy Cube, the Joseph Bright Help Center. A board moderator sent emails to previous members of the forum citing a serious issue that had arisen requiring their attention. Again, it seems the board is under investigation by authorities with little detail to explain what's going on in the same post. Following topics did, thankfully, bring up the point. Throughout most of early 2007, a man claiming to be named Joseph Bright was a participant in the Wyoming Incident alternate reality role-playing game that used this board as a headquarters of sorts. Bright is unstable and may have irrationally acted on things that he saw or read about on these forums and in the game. There's reason to believe that he has continued to play the game despite it ending almost 2 years ago. We do not know how active the offsite community is, but we have heard that there are or were IRC channels and other websites where details about the Wyoming incident were discussed. If any of you knew and conversed with anyone from a chat room or forum who called himself Joseph Bright, Joe Bright, Joe Bright, Jay Bright, B37, Copperfist, or MN, please message me whatever details about him you can. Useful information would include details about where he is currently living, even just the state would help, what his current occupation is, whether or not he is abusing drugs, possible alternative names he may be using, and so on. There are some details I can provide. While living alone, he was supposed to be kept supervised. He'd receive weekly visits from his doctor that would, in time, turn into monthly visits. He'd have had complete independence by the end of next year if he had behaved himself. At some point during his obsession with the game, he stopped taking his medication. A month ago, his apartment was found abandoned. He left a letter for his doctor that stated he needed to sort things out. Since then, several of the people behind the Wyoming incident have received threats from him. The man who ran the game and made the videos, Senor Bambos, I Love to Fix, seems to be his main focus of attention. Somehow, perhaps off of another forum, he got a hold of his phone number. He's called him several times, threatening his life each time. He seems to believe that the admitted puppet masters didn't actually make the videos or write some of the stories posted here. Of course, all evidence points to the posts and the videos featured here being completely and totally the work of this forum's administrators. Unfortunately, he can't think about these things sort of rationally. We think he may have also been involved in the assault of some men in the state of California. Details about that are sketchy, and it doesn't seem to have anything to do with this board or the game. Joseph Bright is soon discovered to have a blog with a good number of posts that date back to April. It's clear that he's looking for the rest of the Wyoming incident videos, which the Shaded Priest claimed were part of a set of 9. Joseph manages to find videos 7 and 8 and uploads them to YouTube, as well as an odd video called Backstory about a child left alone on a bus. The board moderator, after his exposure to the videos, goes noticeably mad on the forums and later claims to have found video 9 himself. It's still uploaded to Joseph Bright's channel, and the video contains an advertisement for cashforgold.com, followed by several prank posts about indie alternate reality games needing sponsors, so the Wyoming incident has partnered up with Cash for Gold. And yet, the very next day, Jack Q. Pembry arrives with a new topic titled, There's Still Reality. This is actually Joseph Bright using the account, and he's found the real video 9. He needs us to watch it and remember it, and the names that he's learned as a result of his find: Robert and Alexandria Franklin. Remember those names. No matter what anyone tells you, it doesn't end here. I'm beginning to doubt it ever ends. I will be back, just need to rest a while. Don't believe what they tell you, and keep that link. Save that video. Nothing occurred on the Happy Cube forum for over 3 years. Then, one last pulse, a final mysterious heartbeat. On January 12, 2013, Jack Q. Pembry added a single thread that was posted to the top of each and every board. And so, his final message? The children awoke that year. Nothing has been heard from the Happy Cube or the Wyoming incident since. No real closure, no explanation, no reveal of a true mastermind. This is, in effect, still an active game, and as such, this makes the Wyoming incident the longest-running alternate reality game on the internet, stretching back over the course of 10 years to the true first upload, Danny's Collection number 3, in March of 2006. And considering it began circulation as video creepypasta, this might also be the world's first creepypasta ARG. The Wyoming Incident is an anomaly. I haven't seen anything as odd, twisted up, and cloaked in lies and mystery as this thing. How many reversals did we experience over the course of this timeline? 4? 5? The road had so many turns during the course of my studying it that I felt whiplash. What even is the Wyoming Incident? Was it always meant to be a game within a game in the case of Joseph Bright and the sudden detective angles? Was that all just course correction after hijackings and hitting brick walls? Was the Dark Muses versus Good Muses setup the initial plan? Who really did make the first video, the true Puppet Master or Senor Bambos? Why would the Puppet Master feel okay with subjecting people to a dark ritual not just once but twice? When it all comes down to it, after you've waded through this entire mess, you find that the only questions you can answer are those of opinion. The Wyoming Incident, as a game or a long-form storytelling project, just doesn't hold itself together after the first few videos and interactive events. My main issue with this entire project was the very reward system set in place. The driving force of this experience was gaining more videos out of a set of 9, these mysterious dark videos with supernatural forces behind them. But those videos turned out to be pretty much identical each and every time, and the small changes to them weren't meaningful enough to even bother working for the prize. The narrative around the videos, once explained flatly by our moderator characters, became so much less a mystery and just more of a matter of lore. Piles and piles of lore. That's all I could think of as I went through thread after thread after thread of this. It's not advancing the experience, it's not really moving the story, the mystery is blown. It's just lore. It's lore everywhere. And as far as the forum posting format goes, it just doesn't feel right for an experience that stopped being interactive so early in its lifespan. This became a vehicle of roleplay where one player sits and tells everyone else how things are going on in the story, and they all just respond with opinions and questions. The sentiment isn't just something I feel either. As I went through the Unfiction forum, I found more and more players dropping off, saying that they just didn't feel it like they did at the very start. Quite a few even began questioning if this had stopped being an ARG at some point, and I have to agree that it really did. An alternate reality game does so much more than just roll story at people in text form and expect them to keep reading, and it doesn't just stay in one place like this. I can give some praise to adding another blog during revival periods, but due to it being just more world building and description, I can't commit to my applause. The best thing the Wyoming Incident has going for it is what it started with: intrigue. We don't know who was behind this. We don't know why they did it. There's a lot we don't know. Even the Puppet Master we knew was kept in the dark, and he doesn't know who he was speaking to. And even when it seemed the true Puppet Master was back in control, operating the Joseph Bright event, we got hit with cash for gold, and then were taken right back into the mess a day later. Then 3 years after that, another subtle knock at the door accompanied by a message on the ground that leaves us wondering. So many important lessons can be gained from observing all that happened with the Wyoming Incident. It's as much a cautionary tale as it is a mystery. But as far as closure goes, 10 years into this game's run, we don't have much. And that's why the Wyoming Incident will, until the Muses return and the Puppet Master comes out of hiding, remain as an enigma in the Night Mind case files. If you've enjoyed this long, twisted trip into the forgotten halls of internet history with me, hit the like button and tell me what you thought below in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe for more oddities and horrifying tales, and if you haven't seen my first case file, you're going to want to check out the brightly colored horror show known as Hey Kids. Just as crazy, just as mysterious, but still in a whole different class of weird. Thank you for joining me again in the dark this evening. Once more, I'm Nick Nocturne, and like a puppet master who just can't tell when the story's really over, I'll be seeing you again real soon. Sleep tight.